Why don't you construct a decision tree for this particular expression? Quick. A XOR B and not C. Okay, the first step would be to determine this one. Okay. So A XOR B will be computed. So what is A XOR B's truth table value?
0 1 1 0.
0 0 is what?
0, ma'am.
0 1 1 0. And this is 0 0 0, and for this again you will have a 1. Okay, it's and not C. Okay, so 0 0 will be
0.
0 0 will be 0. This is 0. This is 0. This is 1 1.
1 and 0 is 1.
Idma
A and not C.
A XOR B and not C.
Is that column C or not C?
You can either consider this or okay. If this is C, then it will change. 1 minute. Okay, if this is C, then this is 1 1
0
0. This is all 0.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is my this one. So this is C. I have considered not C. So this is my A XOR B and not C. So you have to find the so these are your attributes. A, B and C are your attributes. So how do I go about constructing the tree? Constructing the decision tree. So this is my outcome. So this is my yes, this is my yes, and these are all my no's. So you have to use this as a probability and then try to determine the outcome. Sorry. So determine the outcome. So you have A, B, C values. You can you can ignore this intermediate because this is only for our computation. So you have A, B, and C. So you have to use these three as your features and then construct a decision tree model. So with A as the feature, you construct entropy. With so there are totally 8 cases. Okay, that is how you should start. There are totally 8 cases. So 2 by 8 into log 2 by 8 plus 6 by 8 into log 6 by 8 is the overall entropy. Entropy of S. Okay, you have to find out this. And then you have to find out entropy of, gain of S comma A. So for which you have to compute entropy of A. Okay, and then you have to find entropy of B, and then S comma B you have to find out. So you can use one of them as a root depending upon whichever has got the maximum gain. So you use 0 0 1 1 0 0 1 1 0, that is my value here. So I will use that and then determine. So whatever, so 0 and 1 you have only 2 attributes. There you had say outlook is overcast, sunny, rainy. So you had 3 attributes. Now you have only two values. So you have 4 zeros and you have 4 ones. Out of the 4 zeros, you have 1 yes and 3 no's for the zeros, and for the ones you have so you have to compute entropy of A, yes and no. So in yes you have 1, 1, and these two. So this out of the 4 ones, you have 1 plus and 3 minus. So this is 1 plus and 3 minus, and for no again you have 1 plus and 3 minus. So this is going to be how you have to calculate the entropy, which is 1 by 4 into log 1 by 4 plus 1 by 4 into log 1 by 4. So that will be negated. So you can have this value. So that is information of, that is the gain of, yeah, 1 by 4 into log 1 by 4. Plus 3 by 4 into log 3 by 4. So this is with respect to yes, and this is with respect to no also. And then for gain, you have to compute this as this overall entropy value minus 4 by 8. 4 by 8 of this value minus 4 by 8 of this value. Okay. Okay, calculate the gain of S comma B also. So what is this gain of S comma A? Yes, boss. And for B, you have yes and no, and for C, you have again yes and no. In C, for the 4 no's, you have 2 plus and 2 minus, and for this, you have 0 plus and 4 minus. And for B, you have, which is the same as A only. So which will have 1 plus and 3 minus. This will have 1 plus and 3 minus. Okay, so this will be your, so entropy of C will be, this will be 0 by 4 into log 0 by 4, which will be 0, and this will be 1. So entropy of C will be, gain of S comma C will be whatever is this value minus 0 minus 4 upon 8 into 1, which is 4 by 8 is 1 by 2.5. So the total gain minus 0.5 will be gain of S comma C. Gain of S comma A and S comma B will be the same. So which has the maximum gain? Okay, what is this number? Yeah, you tell me.
It is coming like it's minus 0.244.
This one?
Minus 244, like gain of my A.
This is 0.24.
Yes, ma'am. That is also 0.24 and gain of S comma A is also 0.24.
How can it be?
Because if you simplify the fractions, both are the same now. S and no will be same.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So overall value of gain of S comma A will be minus 0.24.
Minus up. No, but somewhere we are going wrong. Is this value correct? 0.24.
Yes, ma'am.
So for yes, is it right? 1 by 4 log 1 by 4 plus 3 by 4 log 3 by 4.
That is also 0.24, ma'am.
This is 0.24, huh? Okay. So this will be 0, no?
Ma'am, another minus 4 by 8 is there now, ma'am. So
Amma. So that will be 0.24 by 2 and 0.24. This will become 0.
okay. Yes, ma'am. 0, ma'am.
Okay. So is the case with B. And what about C? C will be negative. So your maximum scenario will be with A or B, which is 0. So you can choose any A or B as your root. A will be there. This is yes and this is no. So it has got 4s and 4 no. So 1 plus and 3 minus. This is 1 plus and 3 minus. So from these two nodes again you have to choose B and C. Okay. So again you have to carry out recursively. This will be, that is, you said this is 0.24. It is coming as 0.24, right? So this for this 0.24 you have to calculate with respect to B, and for 0.24 you have to calculate with respect to B as well as C. So whichever is maximum you have to choose that as your next node and so on. Okay. So here again what node will you choose? Here what node you will choose? You can try to choose and then try to go to the next level. Okay. So this will not be a very clear scenario because your output has got only two yeses and the others are all no's. So that will be only a strange combination, a 0, a 1 and a 1 actually. Okay, so this is how you have to basically do. You will for 1 plus and 3 minus you have already calculated entropy. This also you have already calculated entropy. So you will basically choose for with respect to this what will be B and C's value, and similarly what will be B and C value for this particular scenario also, and then you will go accordingly. Okay. So with which attribute will I choose next? You should basically try to focus. B or C. Here again B or C you have to find out. So you calculate that, and that is the basis. This is a very simple problem, but it looks very skewed because not many attributes, only yes and no for all the features. Okay. So these two models are, one is decision tree, other one is naive Bayes. Both will work wonders for small data set. Okay, both will work wonders for small data set, and that is the advantage. Okay, whereas then, but it is very it can handle missing attributes, but it is prone to noise. Your multi-class labels may not be very correct, and name base is not a learning algorithm per se. It's not learning. You are simply calculating the probability model. Similarly, decision trees also, there is no learning happening. So when you want to have learning to happen, then you will try to go in for the next model, which is actually the most famous one and the most used one also, which is called as the neural network. So a neural network is basically a set of neurons. Okay, what is a neuron? So you probably should have remembered people who claim that they are from biology. How many of you are from biology group here? Nobody? Everyone has computer science as basis. No biology students. Guys, are you there or not?
We are there, ma'am.
There
You are
are
there.
biology students.
No biology student.
There are, ma'am, but not me.
Nobody is opening their mouth. No, I have a very fundamental question. Are you guys logged in, or some people it says X mark, Hajira Harris?
That we actually can turn off our online status, ma'am.
That's what I'm saying. Why should you unnecessarily? Girish Kumar? They are not there. That is the problem. They have just connected and left. Aman Anand?
Hello?
Yes. Where were you, Mr. Girish Kumar?
I'm sorry, ma'am. I was seeing meeting, ma'am.
You were sleeping, huh?
No, ma'am.
Your voice sounds that only.
No, ma'am. I was drinking water, ma'am.
You were thinking. Which class are you in now?
Yeah, ma'am. I was drinking water, ma'am. Went to drink water and came, ma'am.
You went to drink water, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Why you cannot do that using your break time?
Oh, no, ma'am. Like, suddenly, ma'am, I just went and came.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You are not there in the machine is what I'm trying to tell people.
Sorry, ma'am.
Huh?
Sorry, ma'am.
Nikhil Murari? Kripa Samson? See, all these people are not there. Hajira Harris? Govind Gopakumar?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry,
Where
sorry,
were
ma'am.
you?
for back. I'm here only, ma'am.
I have been calling your name for the last 10 minutes.
No, ma'am. Like you just call my name right now, right? I just.
You know, your classmates are the witness. I have been calling your name for the last 5 to 7 minutes at least. Yes or no,
No.
yeah?
No, right? Like you call others, me.
No. See, I don't want any excuse.
Ma'am, ma'am, like.
Ma'am, I think you called his name just now.
Pardon, my voice is breaking. Huh?
No, ma'am. I said like I think you called his name just now, ma'am.
No. I called earlier also. I didn't call.
No, ma'am.
His name alone he
Kripa
called the
Samson
first,
I
ma'am,
called.
not others.
Yes, Indresh?
Like Govind's
Sir,
name
you
alone
did
you
call
called the
both.
first time,
Yes, I
not
remember.
others.
Girish, Govind, Hajira, all the three continuously it is having a X mark. Looks like they have left or something like that.
No, ma'am. That was like I have invisible thing, ma'am.
Why
Ma'am,
should
is
it be
it, ma'am?
invisible? Yeah. Is it what a very secret account?
No, ma'am. Like I
Uh,
usually keep it invisible, man.
why
So,
should you keep it invisible so that nobody contacts you? Huh?
not like that, ma'am. Like.
And then
There was option like active in call or in which is I kept in invisible,
see,
ma'am.
this is a official account. You have to obey by the rules. This is not a personal account where you can keep it inactive, you can turn it off, nothing of that sort.
Okay, ma'am.
Subhashri? See, This is the status of this class. Okay, fine. I don't want to spend any more time on this. It's disappointing. Okay. We were talking about people who are biology students, and then finally we ended up with people, nobody being in the class. Okay. So what happens is there is a memory unit in the brain. People who are actually bio students will probably remember that there is a neuron which is actually called as an axon, and there are points connecting the different neurons or the different axons. Okay, a group of neurons is actually axon, and you have point of contact connecting those. This is called as a synapse, and this is where information gets stored, like memory. It's your memory. We say memory unit, right? How does the brain develop? When you look at the brain growth of an individual from the moment it is born, or the moment it is basically conceived till it is born, and then after that, how does it basically gets familiarized, etc. It will keep accumulating information, and then that information gets stored. The people who are normal will have a hormone called as dopamine, which is getting secreted, and that is responsible for building these contacts between the different neurons and then ensuring that the synapse is intact. And that is how memory gets built and you are able to remember things. On the other hand, supposing, say, an individual is special, okay, an individual is a special individual, then there is a problem with secretion of this dopamine, and therefore this growth doesn't happen properly. Okay, so that is the reason. So the individual is not responsible for being a special person or not, and you keep increasing your memory by exposing to new things. In turn, you are learning new things, and then you are trying to keep it updated by based upon this hormone. If this hormone is secreted properly, then you will be in a position to retain memory, retain the contents, etc. very naturally. So that is what is being marked with respect to the artificial neuron. So you supposing, say, you look at a particular picture, okay, you look at a tree, and then you see that the tree is green in color, because somewhere you know that it is this is green color, this is how you should identify green color, and somewhere you should have already thought that this is how a branch looks like, etc., etc. So with the multiple inputs of the features of the tree, you are able to build into a cohesive picture that this is a tree. This is a picture of a tree. So it has a tall trunk, it has got a branch, so it has got leaves, and the leaves are green in color, so it is called as a tree. That is how you normally conclude. Supposing the leaves are say white in color, then you can call it as an artificial tree, because you know that leaves are natural leaves are not white in color. Okay, so you look at artificial tree. Okay. So, and similarly, when you say that the cloud, it is cloudy. So how do I distinguish? So these are your input features. So based upon this, it tries to do a pattern match with your brain, with your memory, and then it is trying to deliver an output. This is exactly what is mapped to a artificial neuron. So the simple neuron is basically, it's looking like this. It's got a neuron. This is nothing but sum of products. Okay, and you have the weights as x1. These are inputs are x1, x2, etc. up to xn. And so as I said here, it's got a tall trunk. It's got a branch. It's got a bark. It has got leaves which are green in color, and the leaves are opposite and decussate, or just opposite, or whatever characteristics the leaf basically has. all these are your inputs and you combine together and gives a comprehensive output as that this is going to be a tree. The same thing is happening here. Supposing you have multiple features, supposing you want the machine to identify this is going to be a tree. What will I do? Again, I'll give the same features. So color of the leaf, the position of the leaf, the type of the leaf, bark, okay, etc. And then that will be weighted and summed up, okay, and then you can decide it is going to be a tree or not a tree. So this is what is learning. So learning happens in the neural network model. That is why this is a very famous and a popular model. Now all these weights are not, all these features are not used as is. The weights, the features are weighted. Okay, they are weighted, and you give a weighted sum of the particular features, and then based upon that you try to design. So it's a machine learning approach which is basic, which is completely inspired by the way brain performs a learning task. Okay, and the deep learning architectures are also the similar fashion how the brain basically performs. Of course, we have not been able to capture the complete scenario of how the brain basically performs. That's why we still incomplete. Because sometimes it forgets, sometimes it remembers. We do not know what it forgets. We do not know what it remembers. There is a scenario of amnesia. There is a scenario of dementia among patients, among individuals. So some children are special. They are autistic. They have dyslexic. How does their brain work? We do not know. We are not able to mark that. We are not able to reproduce that in order to get your problem fixed for those particular individuals. We are still not able to handle that task. So it is trying to determine how the neuron basically are connected and information is stored. Okay, that is how we are trying to find out. And during the learning process, you modify this weight vector in order to find out it is going to be a correct or incorrect situation. So when is neural network suitable? Okay, this learns similar to how a human being learns how to perform a particular task. So problems have following characteristics. So supposing you have instances as many attribute value pairs. Okay, attribute is features and value is your label. Supposing you have that and you have large trained data set available, then you go in for neural network. And the target function output may be discrete valued or real valued, or it could be a set of attributes. In that case also you will go for a neural network model. Suppose there are errors in training example. Okay, you can try to do that. You are okay with having a long training time. So the amount of time required to train the model is going to be huge. So you are fine with that. In that case, you can go in for neural networks. And you are, supposing you want to evaluate the learned function, okay, quickly, then you can go in for this particular model. So where you are not bothered on how the target is learned, okay, how the model is learning the data set. So in that case, again, you can go in for neural network model. Neural network model can basically be two scenarios. One is a supervised learning model, other one is an unsupervised learning model. A supervised learning model is what we are going to talk about today. Unsupervised we are not going to talk about. It is probably part of your machine learning second level course. So supervised learning model, you have features and the class label. So you basically use that for recognizing handwritten digits, pattern recognition, regression model, etc. The models that are typically used are the perceptron model, or the feed-forward model, or the radial basis function model, or the support vector machine model. Support vector machine model is also can be looked upon as one form of supervised neural network model. Okay, we will come back to that later. The network architectures which are typical of the artificial neural network is divided into, okay, what is all these jargons that have basically been defined. ANN, artificial neural network, is the superset. Under this you have the perceptron model, or you have the convolution neural network model, or the recurrent neural network model, or this RNN with a variation called as LSTM or GRU. Now this is a recurrent neural network model which is traditional. This has been modified to suit some kind of an information, and that is what is called as LSTM RGR. This is actually an RNN model only. It's a modification to RNN model. So where you call it as LSTM or GRU. Okay, all these come under neural network model only, depending upon how many layers you have, depending upon how many what architecture does it basically have, etc. So to start with, there is a perceptron, okay, and then you can try to add more to the perceptron in order to get your higher model. So a perceptron is what? A perceptron is a single neuron. Okay, this is going to be a single neuron as a perceptron, and a single neuron is of no use. So you need to have a set of neurons in order to get your task established. Okay, so the architectures can basically be a single layer feed forward network. Okay, or it could be a multi-layer feed-forward network. So multi-layer is there could be so many hidden layers, and there can be an input and an output layer. A single layer model will basically have an input and a output layer only. So these two will not support feedback. Whereas the last is called as the recurrent neural network model architecture, which has a feedback. Now, how is this feedback given? Depending upon the feedback that is to be proposed, you have variations here proposed in the deep architecture called as LSTM and GRU. Okay. So a multi-layer feed-forward network is also some kind of a deep learning model where if you decide on how many layers you are going to propose, or if you have enough justification of how many layers you're going to propose, then it becomes a deep learning model. Okay. Of course, there are some changes which is typically done as part of the deep learning architectures. That is, you have to use only one kind of a sigmoidal function or one kind of an activation function, and so on and so forth. So that we will see, that you can probably learn as part of the deep learning course. So the architecture of a neural network is connected with the learning algorithm that is basically used. So this is a single layer feed forward network. You have the input. Okay, and then there is going to be an output. So this is called as the input layer. Okay, and this is called as the output layer. So where you have sum of weights and then you try to get to your output. So this is a very simple architecture. This is a multi-layer. So this is the input layer and this is the output layer. The input is directly not connected to the output, and you have some kind of a hidden layer which is saying a 3-4-2 architecture, which is 3 input features and 4 nodes as intermediate and 2 as the output layer. So here what happens, you have 3 features and you want 4 outputs. So for example, you want to decide 4 characters A, B, C, D. Okay, so you have 3 features to give to the model. So using some combination of the models, this is a fully connected network. So you know what is a fully connected graph. The same example is, same definition holds good here also. So you have this node is connected to all the 4, this node is connected to all the 4, this node is connected to all the 4. Okay, so the weights alone will differ in order to categorize. Supposing I want to categorize A, B, C, D, in the weights alone will differ in order to categorize as A, B, C and D. Okay, so this is called as a single layer feed forward network. Single layer is not going to give you a good efficiency. So obviously you will go in for at least one hidden layer. So and then this is going to be your output. So this could be a simple classification of yes and no. Okay, or this could be a recurrent network. The recurrent network has to have some kind of a mode to remember things. Now remember, just look at this. This is input, this is output, this is your hidden layer. Okay, from the hidden layer you give a delay and it is given as input to this. Okay, and similarly from the output layer you give an input to this. Okay, so this input is directly from the feature itself and these are other inputs. So this is called as a recurrent network where there is a feedback. Feedback from the output layer or feedback from the hidden layer. Anything can basically go into the input layer for modification. Okay, so what happens is defining in terms of the architecture with respect to the human brain jargons. So you have A set of synapses or connecting links where each link is characterized by a weight. So the edges are characterized by the weight W1 to Wm, and there is a adder function which is simply a summing of which is a sum of products. Okay, the sum of products will be Wj into Xj. Xj is the input and Wj is the weight corresponding to that particular input. And after that, you want to classify. You want to classify as A and B, or you want to classify as yes and no, etc. So that therefore you cannot have a exact sum of weights as the value. So therefore you have an activation function. This is called as a squashing function, which is going to work on this it's a function operating on u plus b. What is u? U is this sum of products, and b is called as the bias. B is called as the bias. So you apply this bias and the sum of products value, and then you apply a function on top of it that is going to be your output y. So here, if you give this as an input, x1, x2, etc. up to xm are the features, okay, of the input, and they are weighted. They are multiplied by a corresponding weight w1, w2, etc. up to wm, and they are summed up. So this will get summation wi xi, and this is your bias. This is your extra threshold, some kind of a epsilon, okay, and that is added to give it to an activation function, and that's going to give you an output as y. So it's operating on function of summation wi xi for all I plus a bias b, and this will be giving an output yes or no, which is called as y. Okay. So here this bias is typically going to influence whether to offset by a positive value or a negative value. So V is equal to U plus B. So where V can be looked upon as the induced field of the neuron, and it's as good as applying an affine transformation to U. Okay, so it is trying to shift it by a particular value. Could be positive or negative. So what you can think of is, you can think of bias also as weight W naught. Okay, and you can consider for that the input x naught equal to 1, and so this can be looked upon as summation wi xi for all I equal to 0 to m, where x naught is equal to 1 by default. Okay, the others are features. So this is how you can basically think of, and then you apply an activation function. Now, what is the necessity for an activation function? Why should you do that, etc.? That is what we're going to see now on. So you have different types of neurons, different types of architectures, different learning algorithms and applications. So typically it is used for recognizing face, very good example, recognizing handwritten letters. This Alvin drives, it's a automated vehicle which drives at 70 miles per hour on highways, etc. So this was proposed in the early 50s and 60s, where it is nothing but a perceptron. A perceptron is a single neuron. It is, I said already, it is not going to be of much use. So you are going to go in for a simple neural network architecture only, but you are simply saying it is going to be it's a single neuron. So the single neuron has got features and weight vectors, and there is going to be an output. Now this theta, it basically means that you are applying summation of wi xi and a function operated on wi, that is your theta. So this is going to give you an output. This output could be 0 or 1. So what you say is, you have an activation function that is going to be using this wi ii, okay, plus some theta, and it's going to operate on that. If this value is greater than 0, you give the value as 1, else you give the value as 0. Okay, so this is the representation of that. So here the same thing is done, and what is this function? This function is called as the sigmoid function. This activation function can be either a tan hyperbolic function, or it could be a sigmoidal function. Now sigmoidal function is like this. That is, if the value is greater than 0, it is going to be 1, the value is less than 0, it's going to be minus 1. So you are talking about if Wx is greater than 0, that output of that is plus 1 and is 0 else. Okay. Now tan hyperbolic function will be, okay, you will not get a plus 1 or a minus 1 exactly. You can simply classify it as the first quadrant or the third quadrant respectively. Okay, so we are going to be using only a tan hyperbolic function here. So this is how it basically learns. Supposing your input is going to be 2 and 1 and you have weights as 0.5 and 0.3. Okay, and this is your bias which is equal to minus 1, for example say. So what happens is you do 2 into 0.5 which is 1 plus 1 into 0.3 which is 0.3 and minus 1 which is your bias resulting in 0.3. Therefore, sum of products Wixi is greater than 0. So you call this output as 1 and then else 0. So let us try to do this A or B. Okay, I will not spend time. I have anyway calculated for A and B. Okay. So here this is how it is going to be. Now the reason why I am not looking at XOR is, I'll come back to XOR later. XOR is not linearly separable. So this is A and B. So you have two inputs 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1 and this is your output. Okay, so this is your training example. Now what you should do is you have to assign random weights. Okay, so you have three weights W0, W1 and W2. You know X0 is 1. X1, X2 will be either 0, 0 or 0, 1 or 1, 0 or 1, 1. Okay, and then you can try to do it. So you assign random weights to start with. It should work for all the cases. If it is not working for all the cases, you have to revise the weights and then do it for all the cases again. So what happens is this is your input. A is given, B is given. You have to compute A and B, which is nothing but summation of products. And then you apply the sigmoidal function, which is greater than 0 means 1, less than 0 means 0. Okay. So supposing if I choose W0 as minus 0.5, W1 is equal to 0.5 and W2 is equal to 0.6. So what happens is this is no problem because the x1, x2 are 0. So W0 is minus 0.5 resulting in 0, which is fine. Second one, W2 is 0.6. Okay. So 0.6 into 1 is 0.6. W0 is minus 0.5 resulting in 0.1, which is not correct. So my assignment of W2 is equal to 0.6 is wrong. So I'll get it back to 0.3, for example, say. Okay. Okay, 0.3. So therefore, what happens? This will work anyway. So this will also work because 0.5 into 0 is 0. 0.3 into 1 is 0.3. Minus 0.5 is going to be minus 0.2 resulting in 0, which is fine. 1, 0, 0.5 into 1 is 0.5. This is 0. So minus 0.5 will result in a problem. So I'm going to increase this slightly to minus 0.6. So that will work. Okay. So this is fine. Now the last one, this should get you a positive. So one is 0.5. This is 0.3, 0.8. 0.8 minus 0.6 is 0.2. So therefore you get a 1, which is correct. So this is your assignment of weights. W0 is equal to minus 0.6. W1 is equal to 0.5 and W2 is equal to 0.3. Now this is not the only weights possible. You can have other combinations also, but it should work for all the cases. You can try your example for OR and see whether it works. The same input, it will not work. You have to change the weights in order to support, because for an OR, only this is going to be 0, all the others are going to be 1. Okay. Whereas if you look at XOR, this is my XOR truth table. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 is 1. Sorry. 0, 0 is 0, 0, 1 is 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1 and 0. So if you try to plot this, it is going to look like, looking like this, right? 0, 0 is 0. 1, 0, 1 is 0 and 1 is 1. 1, 0 is 1 and 1, 1 is 0. So whereas if you try to plot your AND function, AND is 0, 0 is 0, 0, 1 is 0, 1, 0 is also 0, 1, 1 is 1. So you will be able to draw a line to separate out the positive and negative. This is called as a linearly separable data. So if you are able to draw a line to separate the positive and the negative aspects, that data is called as linearly separable. Okay. So whereas XOR is not linearly separable, where will you draw the line? Like this or like this? If you draw like this, you'll have an outlier here. If you draw like this, you'll have an outlier here, and so on and so forth. Therefore, it is not linearly separable. One way to get rid of non-linear separability is to increase the number of features. If you go in for 3 inputs, it will be linearly separable. Okay, but as you keep on increasing the features, you are getting into trouble called as curse of dimensionality. So how do I handle non-linearly separable data? Next class. So we will see this. We will continue how to train the perceptron, how to change the weights, and then we will see one example which is called as the backpropagation algorithm. And then before that we will see what is called as gradient descent, a very important one for updating your weights, and then we will see so that we will see tomorrow. Beginning of the meeting there will be 30 students. Once I call out some name, there will be 40 students. Once I call out next name, there will be 50 students. Finally, at the end of the meeting, there will be 65 students. Still 10 people will not be there. I don't know what is happening. Okay. Thank you. Time is yours. Grades are yours. So you know how to balance your grades. I leave it to you. You are matured enough to deal with your grades and you don't need any hand holding. That's my observation. So I want to treat you like college students and not like kindergartens. So let's put it that way. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.